Hey, audio everyone. Moss Leader here. As you can see, don't exactly have my hair all done and whatnot. It is a mess today, but I feel like it would be good to actually talk about the little things that go on inside my head, as it were. And what I mean by that is that sometimes I have a lot of doubt of who I am, and just generally speaking, there's a lot of that goes on in here that just makes me doubt certain things about myself. And I'm only saying this because I think it's very important to recognize that not just me, but a lot of trans people, they actually go through this a lot, where they start to think like that they're not trans and that they'll never pass, or that even passing is a valid thing. And it's really one of those things that just get really frustrating and annoying, and it's something that we have to constantly deal with over and over again, because we're trying to change society's point of view as well as try to change society's point of view of perceiving us. And those two things, they conflict constantly. And it's a very unfortunate thing, because it also kind of like creates a lot of problems in a lot of ways. Like, for instance, I always shave my little mustache here and little things right here, the little dot things and whatnot. Truly, if we lived into a society where we didn't really care too much about gender and whatnot, male and female, and masculine and feminine personalities and such, they could have hair there, and it wouldn't be too big of a deal. Because society is the way that it is, it makes us all doubt that, you know, if we have mustache hair right here, then we're not exactly passing. We're not going through the whole entire loop thing, and we're not playing along to the same degree that a lot of other people are. And we're not playing along to that same type of degree, that means we're not passing. If we're not passing, that means we're not valid. And if we're not passing and we're not valid, then are we actually trans? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing all the time. And it's just one of those things that just keep eating up inside and going like, what is the right answer? What is the right answer? I don't know. And honestly, it's a more complicated question than that, but it racks on your brain constantly, and you're just like, do I do the thing that makes me happy? Do I do the thing that just, I didn't have enough time to actually go do? What is exactly happening with me? And it's very annoying. And it sucks, and pretty much everyone goes through it. It's really hard because, like, honestly, even if you have the worst dysphoria ever, you could still be like, but I'm faking it. I'm not actually trans and all that such. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that, rather not tend to forget, they don't acknowledge the fact that a lot of us actually doubt the fact that we're trans to begin with. That we doubt this fact that we could actually like go through the transitioning and whatnot and all that such. Because in all honesty, if we don't present ourselves as 100% I could go through this, gatekeeping starts happening. And it's like, do you really want to go through with this? Do you really want to do all those things that you want to do? Do you want to go through surgery? Do you want to like actually pass? Do you want to like dress in female clothes? Do you want to dress in male clothes? All those little things like add up and pile on, and you're like, you feel this sort of obligation to fit into that role. Just like, I want to do everything 100% hardcore, but at the same time you're like, I just want to be the person I am today. And just, it keeps going and going and going, and you're just like, I don't know which way I should properly go. And in a lot of ways, it feels like you're lying to yourself, and it hurts because you're like, do I really want all this? Do I want it to be 100% all the way in? Or am I just like 50%? Because if I'm 50%, I'm not passing. I'm not doing this. And that's really bad. And I should just not do that and give it to somebody else that actually deserves to be trans because they're 100% into it and everything. But that is never the case. It's never the case. And we always fall for this. Always. It gets really annoying, because this is a constant debate in a lot of our heads. A lot of them. Yeah, pretty much. How trans we are, how much we want to pass, how much we want to do this, how much we want to do that. And some of us may not even experience dysphoria. And then we have people talking about whether dysphoria is actually needed to be trans or not. I'm in the debate squad of that. You don't really need it. You don't really need to have dysphoria in order to be trans. I'm aware of what they're trying to argue here with the whole entire dysphoria thing. But honestly, the way I feel about the situation when it comes to trans people and and having to deal with certain things, if you want to change your gender, there shouldn't be anything to stop you. That's just it. And the thing that sucks is that gender is a social construct in all ways, shapes, and forms. So that means any gender that we do have in particular, we got to adhere to the certain things that our society tells us. And if that is the case, then we have to make sure that we do certain things that society obligates us to do. That means wearing dresses. That means going in the bathroom, the right bathroom, going to, makeup, jewelry, all that such, have long hair or have hair that's stylish, groomed properly, not have any facial hair or have tons of facial hair if you're F2 male, female to male. And it gets a whole bunch of complicated with just figuring this out, because a lot of cis people, just, I even forgot what cis people is called. Essentially, you're okay with your body and you're okay with your sexual orientation, I guess. I don't remember properly. I don't think gay people are cis. I think it's for straight people only. I don't remember, though. My point being, people that feel like they're comfortable with their body and they're comfortable with their sex, their literal sex, they don't have to really worry about this too much, because they just go like, okay, society says I'm this, and I do like doing these things, so I'm this. But if I don't like certain things that society tell me to do, I'm still this. I don't care, because I'm still that person right there. But when it comes to a trans person, they're like, okay, society tells me that I am this thing, but I want to be this thing. But if I want to be this thing, I have to do all the things that that thing does. So I had to do both A and B if I really want to do both A and B. But I should be doing B more, because that's more aligned with the gender that I want to be. Because we live in a two-gender society and whatnot. And even then, with the two-gender society, we have like two other things that don't really get called out upon, which is the, androgynous and just non-binary, essentially. It's I would say it this way because non-binary essentially means that it doesn't really fit to either side. Like, everybody poops. That's a non-binary thing to say. In that sense. I'm not saying non-binary in the sense of just like, it's another gender that we just don't want to adhere to the society of things. I'm talking about the 4 diagram thing, where we go male, female, the spectrum right here, and then right down here, non-binary stuff, and then androgynous stuff. So non-binary stuff is just the stuff that everybody does, regardless of sex, gender, and all that such. And androgynous stuff is the stuff that could apply to both male and female. So think of it as a XY axis type of situation. And that is what I'm trying to say here. Because non-binary sounds easier to say than just not both male and female. Not both. Not both of those things. It gets hectic in your mind, because when you're trans, you constantly go through all these little things and whatnot, just like, this is what female does, this is what male does, this is what they both do, this is what they both don't do, or what they both do but don't, society doesn't like really recognize it as a thing that is like needed for that, needed for gender and whatnot. And it gets really, really annoying. And it just, there's tons of things that just add on to layers and layers of thoughts and thinking, and you start overthinking the whole entire situation. When you overthink the whole situation, that means that your mind is wrapping your head around to certain things that you really shouldn't be wrapping around. Like, is it okay for me to like enjoy pooping because I'm female? Like, or rather male to female and all that other such and such, because that would be perceived as more of a male dominated thing, as just like, oh yeah, I love pooping all the time and all that such. And I'm only using this as an example. I really am. It's just really, really, really confusing. But for real though, can we just talk about how peeing after like you've been holding it for so long is just the best, which is like for everybody. So I was just saying. My point being, we doubt ourselves a lot because we think of things a lot through, and we have to both think about all those things. And then when people are just like, hey, but you didn't do this, or you're not female enough because you don't do this, or something like that. We're constantly being tested about how female we are, or how male we are, masculine and feminine we are, I suppose is a better way to say it. And it just gets to a point of just pure frustration because you're like, do I really do this or do I do the other thing that does do this? And it's like, what is the thing that I want to enjoy? What is the thing that I want to enjoy? What is the thing that I need to enjoy? And if I need to enjoy it and I don't like it, does that make me less of a masculine or feminine person? Does this make me neither of those things? Does it make me both those things? I don't know. How does society view this? Okay, society views it this way. So that means society is wrong or society is correct. And if society is correct, do I agree with everything else that society says to me? And then if I agree with everything that society agrees with me, that means I'm not trans. So therefore, I have doubt. And it gets so annoying. And I hate it so much. And I'm sure a lot of other people hate that so much. And you don't get that kind of stuff when you're just like, my sex and my orientation and everything and whatnot. I don't have to think about that. It's like, whatever. I like dudes. I like girls. Blah, 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 blah. Done. I like my sexual organs the way they are. Done. I wish I could constantly think of it that way, just to have all that, but I don't. I don't ever do, and it just makes me really confused about every situation that I go with, and if I'm doing anything that's like working for me or that's like supposed to be the way that it is, and I don't feel all the time that it is. And I want to feel like that's it. I want to feel like what I'm always doing is the correct thing that I want to do. And if I'm not doing something that's correct, if I'm not doing something that's more feminine, does that make me less of a woman, essentially? Does that make me less of a person in general? Does that make me more masculine? Does that do all those things in society that make it happen? And it hurts so much because it's like you're facing two different points of views. And you want to align so much with just one, and you never can. And it hurts so much. And I know it's a big old ramble, but honestly, this is the way the mind goes. At least my mind goes. If you're trans, you never had dysphoria, you never thought about these things, it doesn't make you any less valid. And it's one thing that just a lot of us, we have to deal with and we have to start understanding better. But largely, I would say that if you don't feel these ways, that means you're in a better off mental state than anybody else is. And I only say that because society gets to you no matter who you are. It gets to you a lot. And it doesn't have to be the whole entire, like, female clothes, male clothes, or I like to date this person, I also like cars, so that makes me a boy, or anything like that. It's just, you are better off as your own person, and you don't have to adhere to society, and society adheres to you, you're fine. That's cool, that's awesome. It means more so, I feel, you have confidence in yourself, and that's something that I think a lot of trans girls don't necessarily do, but they try to, and it sucks because we're part of the bottom of the barrel group, as it were. And it sucks because pretty much it feels like we put ourselves there, and if we put ourselves there like that, it's like so many things that I could argue against it, so many things I could argue for it, and it's just like hurts so much to do things. It really does. You just have all that doubt in your mind, and you're just like, does this doubt make it more valid or less valid? Is the fact that I have doubt, do I continue to doubt myself, mean that I don't want to go through with it? Does this all mean that? And you have to keep telling yourself, no, that's not what it means. It just means you're thinking about it as you think about anything. That's all it is. It's just a thought process. And everyone needs to go through the thought process, no matter what. And it doesn't matter who you are or what you do or anything like that. It's just what happens. But it's really, really hard because you always feel like you're the only one that thinks about it. And it sucks that we don't talk about it as a society, and it sucks that we have to pretty much do this way because it feels like we have to. That's pretty much just where it comes down to, honestly. It's that we're all kind of scared and confused about certain different things, and for trans people, a lot of it is just, am I actually trans or not? And we have to be more affirming than we actually are, because if we aren't, then we might not get what we want. And if we don't get what we want, that means that we may live our whole entire life like worse than what we want it to be. Because even if society rejects us and whatnot, if we could at least accept ourselves, it makes ourselves feel better, and it helps when people actually do accept you. It feels special. And that goes for any given person, not just trans people, but just in that regard. And it always just, it takes such little amount of doubt to make it work against you. Well, because the flies here, things are getting a little bit interesting, but suffice to say, it is kind of like that, where you just hear this constant buzzing. You want to shut it up, you don't know where it is or how to do it, but it's always going to be there, just kind of nagging at you, and you're like, is this normal? Kinda. That's all I really have to say there. So, yeah.